do a quick technical test whether the audio or video is working well or not. Please let the speaker know this. Let's do it to make sure the whole experience can be guaranteed during the next hour's session. If you notice any issues about the audio and the video, please let me know. Oh, thank you, Andrew. Thank you for your feedback. The physical distance is really huge. Okay, good. Thank you for Noni and Kat, the big feedback. Hopefully this time there will be no issues about the internet. Good. Thank you, Elroy. Okay. Some people may watch it from YouTube. The signal might not be very stable. If that's the case, you can also go to the platform of Inside Timer and watch it there. Hello everybody. Let's start today's session together. No matter where you are, how busy you are, can one put aside everything else? It is very urgent for one to stop the business immediately. All those things keep postponing this very urgent investigation of the human consciousness, which is embodied in each of us. The mind tends to escape, run away into various things that can keep the mind full, occupied. Escape from various things, issues, problems, loneliness, sufferings. In that endless escape, life becomes restless. One is trapped in various patterns. No matter how subtle and mechanical they are, the mind becomes compulsive. And that compulsion, which is losing its control, is driving various behaviors in us, in each of the human beings. And the division between you and me has been so deep. Therefore, the conflict becomes unbearable. Which perpetuates the separation between human beings. Obviously, it is very necessary to ask, can one transform one's life without any escapes whatsoever? What is one escaping from? What's that thing that one keeps escaping from? Let's repeat that statement. When one is perceiving directly, the one can see, the thing one can see, is different from the thing one escapes from. In other words, when the mind is escaping, and that illusion the mind has created is so deeply believed by the mind. Therefore, perpetuating that escape. The thing that one had a thought one was escaping from does not exist. When the mind keeps escaping, the mind creates various illusions. And that illusion, with its content, is thought by one to be the thing that one is escaping from. When one holds on to some beliefs or ideas or theories, those things are also fixed. Therefore, directions from those things are also fixed. Belief or any patterns, which are all manifesting the escape. In that escape, they are in this fear, aren't they? When one observes all of those, one feels utterly urgent to end the escape. To end the escape means that one is eager and earnest to find out the essence of an escaping mind. When the mind is escaping, what is it doing? What does the mind do? The thing one is afraid of temporarily. Is that the mind is doing, or the mind is concentrating on something? And that concentration brings about a sense of forget about something temporarily. Can temporarily block something out. The mind is concentrating on something to block others out, which can give the mind an illusory sense of being protected, safe. And the mind is addicted to that experience, isn't it? Nothing is resolved. Because the mind keeps escaping all the time. Therefore, more and more issues are accumulated in the background. But as more issues are accumulated, concentration becomes more and more difficult. Because all those issues in the background keep holding one back to concentrate, to seek fulfillment, satisfaction, gratification. But this great struggle is there. And can be conditioned to that struggle, accepting that struggle is normal. Praises perceive the absurdity of the thoughts of the mind, can distort everything. When one perceives all this directly, one sees that that struggle is the result of a disorder of the mind. One will never accept that disorder, because disorder is disorder. The urgency of staying away from danger, and that struggle, which becomes more and more intense, fear, no danger, fear. On the one hand, various issues which are the escape and the seeking is one process. But when the mind cannot see, but it is one process. It's similar that one is trying to use salt to divide a lake. But the water in the lake is one. Salt to divide the lake is something impossible. But the mind is caught up in the illusion of possibility to deal with the impossibility. All those and the whole society, the whole world is based on the opposite to the truth. That ignorance is the root of all issues, isn't it? It's disordered. And as we have gone through today, concentration, escape, seek, it's one process. What is one to do? To completely end this life of escapes and seeking. And come upon full attention. Focus. Therefore, it is still a form of concentration. Concentration implies effort. The effort to force the mind to focus on something narrowly. In that narrowness, more details pop up, which are all the products of thoughts. And the mind continues being with that thoughts and details. Therefore, the mind is trapped in thoughts, which make one feel that it's not so much effort. But it is the initial effort to focus on something narrowly, dragging the mind into the details created by thoughts, and therefore trapped in the reactions to thoughts. Which create is a sense of to compound the full attention is to be aware of the initial effort to focus on something narrowly. Therefore, the mind is free of any efforts. In that state of being free of any efforts, the whole neuron system, or all the senses of the neuron system, is a person. They are very rich things which are beyond description. When the mind is aware of the initial effort to focus on something narrowly, therefore it is free from all the efforts. The whole neural system is perceiving. Into the consciousness when it is not occupied. And that consciousness is different from the one that keeps concentrating and occupying the mind. That's to say, when the mind is in full attention, the mind is observing without being intercepted or translated by the center, the me, the observer. And the mind is clearly in a state of in that state of mind, there is no illusion. Therefore, there's nothing to escape. One can find and compound an unfamiliar sense of quietude. When the mind has no escapes, no seekings, it is quiet. In that quietness, there is vitality. Therefore, the mind lacks energy and sometimes is restless. But when the mind is really there's vital energy. Living becomes so urgent because the life has so many traps. Which is created from the concentration of billions of people. Therefore, I think the mind, one sees the danger, concentration, and the disorder behind. One understands the suffering of human beings. The mind is not affected by any rubbish of this old consciousness. The mind has vital energy. The mind also perceives the danger, not danger, the suffering of the human beings. Individuality, hasn't it? Any personal issues, conflict, argument are no longer relevant. They are all the products of the concentration and the disorder. So the mind has tremendous concern for the humanity. In that concern, in that vitality, in that vital energy, the mind knows what is compassion. And the compassion is much more interesting than pleasure. escapes seeking. The mind is always limited to the patterns, traps. There's endless conflict, struggle. But compassion is completely boundless. Compassion is out of the single moment of living. No those petty, contradicted movement of thoughts. can one live a life with compassion, with the complete understanding of compassion? Compassion crushes on all the individualities. Compassion is the solution, the only solution to all the endless conflict between the individuals. Which are escaping and seeking. Compassion is the only solution to one's all issues. Which all result from the individuality, the ego, the escaping, seeking, concentrating state of mind. The word compassion is not compassion. One must understand it by living. Living truthfully. So in that truthful living, which is full attention, the mind is discovering what is compassion. It depends on nobody, including the speaker. It finds out for oneself, for itself, the essence of compassion. I think that's enough for today's session. And thank you for people joining the session from different places. And also, like the summer star. Hey, good to see you here. Hopefully you have sit here for the whole session. Good. And hopefully we can meet in the future sessions by putting aside all the things. To penetrate. So let's continue meeting as human beings. As a human being, we are all anonymous. The names are no longer relevant, which are all the ego things. And as human beings, we put aside all the petty things, which are always in contradiction with each other. So we can observe, discover, and see the same thing, which is relevant to each human being on this planet. Also to the nature, the universe. All right. Take care. See you in the future sessions.